Part of the service we provide to our members and our community is advocacy. Our Government Affairs Committee, many of whom are in attendance tonight, work tirelessly not only to produce events like this, but to serve as a voice for business and our community at all levels of government. Our GAC and our organization and our members are focused on fostering economic growth, building and sustaining our vibrant communities, and enhancing our collaborative culture, which is why we are so happy to welcome you here tonight. Of course, we wouldn't be here without our amazing sponsors. So if you turn to your program, you can see a list right here. Thank you to our presenting sponsors, the Boeing Company, Kidder Matthews Commercial Real Estate, and Master Park Airport Valet Parking. Thank you also to Baker Commodities, Crane Photography, Andrew Shooting right now. Thank you so much. Radisson and South King Media. So we are broadcasting live now on Facebook. Hello to everybody who's watching us from home, and hello to my kids who are also watching at home. I appreciate it. Hope you're eating your dinner. And thank you also to Louise Strander. So we appreciate the support of all of our sponsors. Events like this wouldn't be possible without their contributions, so we really appreciate them. Thank you also. Yes, thank you. Thank you also to our host, the Red Lion. One of my childhood friends, Angela Gove. I don't know if you can hear me out there in the bar, but she has been a friend of mine since I was in junior high school, and she is an ultimate bartender. Please don't forget to tip your bartender, and they are an amazing host. So again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you also to all of our candidates here with us today. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to run for public office. And we applaud you today for your passion and your dedication. So just a round of applause for being here. We thank you so much. So you'll also see in your program that everyone is listed in the order that they will be speaking. Some people have a little asterisk by their name. That little red asterisk means that they also turned in a candidate questionnaire. All of the candidate questionnaires can be viewed online. If you go to seattlesouthsidechamber.com/candidates night, you can view the completed questionnaires. Thank you so much to the candidates who actually took the time to fill out those questionnaires. It was our first year as a GAC and as a chamber developing the questionnaire. It ended up being quite a long questionnaire. So we appreciate, I know some of you, it took a while, so we really appreciate your dedication. And having those questionnaires is just another tool for our members and your constituents just to see some of your policy and your ideas. So again, we appreciate that. So we have actually 31 candidates who are going to speak tonight. Just a quick note, unfortunately, Vic Pennington and Anthony Martinelli both had some things come up last minute and aren't able to be here, so they're in the program. I just wanted to note it wasn't for them not wanting to be here or hoping to be here, but sometimes things happen out of our control, so our thoughts are with both of them tonight. So without further ado, just a few ground rules. As we were setting up this event, we want to make sure that everyone knows that this is a respectful event. So we have so many people that we have to go through. We would ask that you keep your applause until the end so that we can go through the candidates quickly. I will introduce each candidate. Each candidate has exactly 3 minutes to give a statement. We just ask that you respect the timer. When that 3 minutes goes off, I'm going to ring the little bell that's sitting there. Please respect the bell when that bell goes off. Otherwise, I will start singing American folk songs, so I don't think everybody wants to hear that. So again, please be respectful. This is an event where we hope to share information with our community and your constituents. Again, people are watching at home, so we just appreciate your cooperation and having it be a successful event. So without further ado, I think we're going to go right into it here with Deshawn Quinn. He is our Tukwila City Council candidate for position number 7.
Good evening. My name is Deshawn Quinn, and I'm on the Tukwila City Council, and I'm running for re-election to position number 7. As a council member, I've collaborated to ensure Tuckwila's future by creating opportunities citywide, supporting our schools, and providing an environment where employers can create family wage jobs to support our existing workers and the next generation. And for the past 9 years, I've been focused on crafting and implementing policies that keep our city safe. For instance, making investments in police, firefighters, code enforcement, transportation and education, supporting and improving our neighborhoods, and representing all residents, no matter their language, their culture, or how long they've called Tukwila home. I am proud of how I've served Tukwila, making thoughtful but difficult decisions. I'm known as someone on the council who brings people together. And in this time, when problems seem more difficult than they have in the past, where civility, respect, and compassion for our fellow human beings that are at an all-time low. But we can meet that challenge by first acknowledging everyone in our community has value, and 2, recognizing it is a privilege and a responsibility to work and make decisions to make lives better for our residents. But we can also do this together. Business, state, local, regional governments. We can build partnerships that allows our communities to prosper. I love Tukwila. I love public service. But you know, sometimes we forget public servants are just people. So I'm going to take this opportunity to reintroduce myself. My name is Deshawn Quinn. I'm your neighbor. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 2 who, like you, wants to see Tukwila thrive. Now I ask for your vote, and thank you.
Perfect, thank you so much. Next, Laura Ann Garrison, also running for position 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, and my students at Glendale watching on Facebook Live, I'm Laura Ann Garrison, and I'm running for Tukwila City Council position number 7. As a business leader, I realize that looking out for the well-being of your company, employees, and customers is a top priority. I get it. As a co-director of a local private school, I too am faced with staying on budget, needing payroll, recruiting and maintaining the best and brightest employees, and of course, strategic planning and visioning for the future, a future of growth. So I hear you when you share your concerns about the local government inefficiencies. Next year, Tukwila will have some big issues to deal with. A probable budget shortfall of millions of dollars from the deficit in a new public safety levy. Then there's the decrease in sales tax revenue in the city from lower retail sales, as well as a continued decades-long high crime rate that still scares away many businesses and investors, just to name a few. Looking forward, Tukwila has an opportunity to invest and promote several up-and-coming business sectors, including a central hub for a fully automated distribution industry that would provide distribution of tangible goods to commercial and residential clients in efficient and unprecedented ways. So instead of local governments being a hindrance to meaningful industry growth, let's inspire the future of Tukwila together. Serving as an independent voice on the council, I will work to enable strong public-private relationships and enterprises to keep overall project and investment costs down, empower business owners and local workers with pro-business policies, especially in the manufacturing, transportation, and technology sectors, and recommend possible strategies for greater efficiencies in local government. So I just ask for your vote for Laura Ann Garrison, your independent voice for Tukwila City Council, position number 7. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you guys are doing such a good job at staying with the timer here. Scott's going to fix the microphone because that's bugging me. Next up, position 5, Mr. Dennis Martinez, if you'd be so kind.
Hello, my name is Dennis Martinez. I am here today asking for your support for Tukwila City Council, position number 5. Our city, over the next 4 years and a decade after, will face many challenges. Our current affordable health crisis, housing crisis, our persistent safety crisis, and our budget problems. Our city residents and businesses need a steady, experienced voice on the council. I am a lifelong Democrat and a 39-year union member, but I want to make sure the focus on this election is not unions, parties, or endorsements, but the people of Tukwila. I am a 28-year resident, a career cost estimator, and a member of the Planning Commission, and at times an outspoken citizen at the Tukwila City Council. I am an experienced voice in this race. Tukwila has long been a blue-collar community, but this opportunity is slipping away from us. We all know that the cost of living is increasing, and it's harder and harder for our young people to find a decent life in this town we call home. That's why I've made concrete proposals to increase incomes and get our residents good jobs. I am committed to a fiscally responsible vision of our city government and a plan to make a budget that protects our residents and provides a bright future for our youth, but doesn't strangle our business and or alienate our homeowners. While our city needs revenue to provide sound quality of life for our residents, we cannot continue to overburden the residents we promise to serve with higher taxes. I'm not a bureaucrat. I do not depend on someone else's budget skills. For 19 years, I worked for a small, minority-owned business. I help make the most of every dollar, in good times and in bad. That's the kind of experience we need, especially on our council. To serve our community, we can promote high-paying trades opportunities for our residents, especially our youth. Our area is experiencing major construction boom. I think we should experience a jobs boom as well. I envision a trade school center here in Tukwila, partnered with businesses and unions, so our residents can have the skills they need to compete for living wage jobs. I will work to enact and enforce project labor agreements, community work agreements, priority force hiring, as well as the small contractor and supplier list. We can create a healthy and safe community with growth and good wages. I am the candidate with the experiences and the connections to make this happen. Thank you. Dennis Martinez, position number 5.
Thank you. Mr. Zach Iden.
Good evening. Before I introduce myself, I want to comment and say, I think you said 31 candidates in the room. Was it more than that? Putting together that much of people in a Wednesday afternoon, I think we should give a round of applause for Seattle Southside Chambers of Commerce. What do you say? My name is Zaki Don. For those of you who don't know my story, I'm an American who was born in a war-torn country called Somalia in the East Africa, the continent of Africa. I came to this country when I was 11 years old. And one of the first places my family settled was a place called Tukwila. I remember the first time neighbors coming to our house and saying welcome. I remember when my mom worked 2 jobs, the neighbors that came and looked out for us. If you live in Tukwila, if you know where the community center is, it's not an easy place to get to. There were neighbors that gave me a ride on and off from that facility. For me, the reason why I'm running is to give back to the community that has given a lot for me. Tukwila was my foundation. Today, I work as a project control engineer at the King County. I'm a graduate of University of Washington with construction and urban planning. In the council, what you need is someone who understands construction and urban planning and estimating, and someone who could ask adequate questions, could push back and say, why is this? That could be the voice of the residents that live there. What have I done? I have worked in construction for about 7 years. I was part of the team that built the new rent-a-car facility not far from here in National Boulevard. I worked at a company called Attorney Construction. What do I want to do when I get to the council? That's why I jotted down a couple of things. And if you go to my website, I can elaborate. I don't think I have enough time to go deep. I want to work on housing. And primarily I want to work on affordable housing. And when you say affordable lately, people think of negative stuff. The housing that I'm talking about is accessible housing to everybody. Every resident should have an adequate place to live. Second thing, I want to talk about education. One of the things I want to propose, thank you, sorry. I ask you for your vote. I'm running for Tukwila City Council, position 5.
Thank you so much. Next is position 3 for Tukwila, Mr. Thomas McCloud.
Andrea told me to keep it clean because her kids were watching on Facebook, so I promised to do that. So my name is Thomas McCloud, and I'm running for Tukwila City Council position number 3. I want to thank the Southside Chamber for tonight and for all of you that took the time to come out. So I am currently on the City Council in Tukwila. I've been on for nearly 2 years. Prior to that, I served on Tukwila's Planning Commission for 6 years. While on the council currently, I am the chair of the Public Safety Committee. We're working on building 3 new fire stations for public safety and a new police and the court, a criminal justice center. I'm passionate about public safety, and so I feel fortunate to be able to chair the Public Safety Committee. In my day job, I work as a tax accountant, and I've been doing that for over 20 years. I work at a CPA office out of Bellevue, and so the chance to work on the Finance Committee connected with me. And so I'm really passionate and mindful of the policies we have in Tukwila because I want them to be business friendly. So I'm here tonight to ask for your support, for your vote for myself, for Tukwila City Council position 3. You might be out there thinking, why would we vote for this guy? Well, I have an answer for that. I said I'm passionate about business. I understand what it is, and it's important for me to know what is important for you. And if you're a business, then the bottom line is important. And so it's really important that you have people that are in office that, one, have a passion for serving, but understand small business. And to understand not only what's important, but that as a decision maker, that I understand how legislative decisions are made and how they impact the bottom line. We recently had an example recently in our committee where the city's wanting to renew or change the process for renewing the city business license. And we went through committee, we went through council, back and forth, and I was opposed to the proposal that the city made because I saw it as an increase in small business fees. And so I pushed back on it, and when it came time to vote at the council actually agreed with me. And we voted to keep the rate lower than what the staff had proposed, and my whole reason was we can't raise it on small business. And so I think that's important that we understand when we make decisions that how it affects the bottom line. And so as a public servant, I want to be a steward of the resources that Tukwila has. And so I want you to know that in that office, that I'm careful of how we spend the money that we have. And I'm careful about raising the money, their tax revenues, because I realize it affects your bottom line. So I ask you to vote for Thomas McCloud, Tukwila City Council, position number 3, and let's partner together for a great Tukwila.
Thank you so much. Next, Mr. Mark Larson, position 3, Tukwila City Council.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Mark M. Larson. There's a lot of Mark Larsons out there, but I just want to emphasize that M is Mark M. Larson. I am running for Tukwila City Council, position number 3, and I've been a resident of Tukwila for over 50 years. I grew up just down the street from Wachtel Middle School today on Brimmer's Hill, sliding down the hill many, many years ago. It's a lot of fun working and playing in the Tukwila area. I use a lot of that experience in the Tukwila area in my youth days as in Boy Scouts. I became an Eagle Scout. I became an Eagle Leader. I became a Scoutmaster in the Tukwila School District. And so my community is with the youth programs in the Tukwila area. Today, I give back some of that experience as a referee in soccer. I was a coach of one of the teams in the Tukwila area, working with the 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and 10-year-olds, building up from the bottom up. I think the kids are our foundations. K through 12 is very important to me. My grandmother was a teacher. She actually taught the Indians in the Lewis County in Washington State. My mom was also a teacher, and she is also a big spokesman in the Tukwila area in her days. She actually retired from teaching to raise me in the Tukwila School District. So my position in the Tukwila School District and the foundation is working with kids. My Eagle project was here in the Tukwila School District either, by helping out in regards of the plantation of the trees and the forestry in the area. So my first is the resident of Tukwila, the community, and then second, the volunteering that I do through Boy Scouts, the church program, and then I've also been a volunteer for 29 years for Special Olympics. I'm a coach, a director at one of the largest Special Olympics ski programs at Snoqualmie Pass. And if you're ever interested in seeing me up there, I'll be up there this winter working with our special athletes. Again, my name is Mark M. Larson, and I'm running for position number 3, and I believe in the foundation of our youth because that's where it starts, and then we grow from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are now going to go to the SeaTac City Council, and I just want everybody to know you can get up and move around in between candidates. If you wanted to grab something to drink or something to eat, please do feel free. So the first council candidate that we'll hear from for the city of SeaTac, position 4, Mr. Clyde Fuzz Hill.
Good evening. I'd like to say thank you to the Chamber for hosting this event and Red Lion for citing the event. My name is Clyde Hill, also known as Fuzz. I was born and raised in this area, graduate of Highline High School. I'm running for position 4 of the SeaTac City Council. My goals for running for council is a concentration on safety, economy, and community. For safety, SeaTac residential population, you might know, is about 28,000 residents. Whereas when combined with the employee traffic, the airport patrons and hotel guests, that average daily population rises to over 170,000 individuals in the city at any given time, any day. We need to begin to factor in this additional population when budgeting for police and emergency services to assure a safe environment is achieved for our residents, for our visitors, and our guests to our city. In economy, the city is actually pretty healthy. Many new hotel structures are under construction, and this will result in more guests visiting our city and creating a greater need for dining and entertainment establishments, providing options for people to stay in our area versus jumping the light rail and spending their downtime in downtown Seattle. My goal is to create greater business interest in SeaTac and encourage new types of business to our area to retain those folks in our city. Finally, for community, currently the SeaTac Airport is a destination place. The city of SeaTac, not so much. My goal of bringing new business into the area and for creating and hosting unique events and activities will give people reasons to come to SeaTac, to stay in SeaTac, for residents to want to be in their neighborhood. In turn, increasing residential pride for their city and helping to rebrand SeaTac as a destination point of interest. I'd appreciate and welcome your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, for SeaTac City Council, position 2, Joel Wachtel. I hope I'm saying your name right. Wachtel, Joel Wachtel, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening. I'd like to thank the Southside Council for putting this on and giving us an opportunity to speak. My name is Joel Wachtel, and I am a candidate for the SeaTac City Council. I've never held a political office before, and I've never been a member of any political party. I am running for office because I can assist the current council majority in their goal to make SeaTac better. I supported the new council in 2015. The new council has proven by their successes that they are on the right track. I want to continue the path because it is the right path and will succeed ultimately. My initial focus would be in 4 areas: fiscal responsibility, SeaTac Airport, business development, and the reduction of crime. I strongly believe in fiscal responsibility and finding more revenue that does not come from property taxes. Prior spending decisions and agreements need to be reviewed and analyzed regularly. For example, this year the council identified a $24 million in unpaid parking taxes from 2010 to 2015. The cause was resolved and returned an additional $8 million in revenue annually back to the city. I am proud to be one of the original members of the SeaTac Airport Advisory Committee. It is clear that for the city to successfully grow along with the airport, it must create a more balanced relationship with the airport. The pending ILA is potentially a significant innovative step forward for the city and its relationship with the airport. Being in business for 45 years, I know the importance of planning, budgeting, and evolving. To say I am pro-business would be an understatement. Developing new businesses within SeaTac is a major goal in my platform. I strongly believe that business is the gift that keeps on giving, especially to a growing city. Crime is a blight on our community. It is important we find the revenue to grow our police department until it is able to effectively reduce crime within the city. Also, the Port of Seattle should contribute to this objective because of the effect their operations have on this city. In closing, SeaTac is a unique city with amazing opportunities which are dwarfed only by our potential to grow. My name is Joel Wachtel, and I seek your vote so I can help make SeaTac better.
Thank you. Next, for the SeaTac City Council, also running for position number 2, is Catherine Campbell.
Oh, I get a timer? How nice. It's an old-time Toastmaster, so I already have one in my head. Good evening. Thank you for coming. My gosh, what a beautiful audience. There are a couple things I want to tell you about me, but the first thing I'd like to do is to correct a couple errors in the information that was given, which you'll find on your website. First of all, it was stated by my opponent that the City Council was trying to pass a 7% utility tax. By state law, that's not allowed. Nothing over 6% can be done in a city for utility taxes without the consent of the voters. And the other thing I wanted to mention was there are about 12 different items that were requested of us to have something to say about in our questionnaire. And these are the 6 things that my opponent didn't feel were worth mentioning. He said that they were not relevant issues. I'm just going to list them for you. Public transportation, pay equity, paid family leave, education funding, higher education, and health care, all of which he considered immaterial. I've been a resident of SeaTac. I was born and raised there. I graduated from high school there. I care very much about my city. I'm probably a little too passionate about it, but signs don't vote, and businesses don't vote, and neither do endorsements. But it's important that the people that do vote understand what's at stake. There's no other city like SeaTac in the entire state of Washington. We're unique. We have an international airport that gives us a special set of benefits and a special set of problems. And because of that, we have a unique set of circumstances that require some out-of-the-box thinking. Some of the out-of-the-box thinking should include matters like law enforcement. The city takes in more than enough money to increase our staff of law enforcement. We just threw $1.2 million into the rainy day fund in unanticipated revenues in the first 6 months of this year. That was done by the majority of the council, not with my approval. I would have liked to have seen us do something for the citizens with at least a percentage of that, rather than just put it away. The second thing that I'm running on has to do with our young people and our seniors. We have the funds and the will and the expertise to do a lot more for our kids, no matter where they came from before. Now that they're part of SeaTac, we need to do more for them if we want them to become productive citizens. And lastly, the environment. I can go on about that for another 3 minutes, but I won't. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Yes, so that 3 minutes does go by fast. I also want to just recognize Pam Fernald. She's also a candidate running for SeaTac City Council position number 6. She's waving. So she's running unopposed. So she'll be available if anybody wants to chat with her afterwards. Just wanted to say thank you so much for coming and being here. Next, Normandy Park City Council, running for position number 4, Ms. Kathleen Waters. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And there's your timer. Okay.
Thank you for doing this, and thank you for everybody who's here tonight and for anybody viewing. I'm running for re-election to my city council position based on a track record as a team leader during the past 4 years. While council members work independently, it is necessary to engender cooperation, collaboration, and agreement in order to legislate. Working with taxpayers, voters, and colleagues on the council requires the ability to get along, persuade, and also negotiate important issues. This activity mirrors teamwork. In the first few months of my first term on the City Council, I worked with many individuals, volunteers all, including me, to accomplish our shared interests. Some of the work I'm proud of during my time include the following highlights. I initiated the City Council's decision to appoint a task force to study our aging City Hall and Rec Center. A group of motivated men and women came together who brought diverse experience and expertise to a very difficult task, a very emotional task in our little community. They use data and field trips to compare our situation to other cities to prepare a working report for the council to consider. We will use this report to plot the future of these vital city buildings. Many of the task force are neighbors that were recruited by me, and as I've told them before, I owe them a lot of thanks, and they invested a lot of time and ideas. And this goes for our budget advisory group, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and all others who pitched in to work as a team to get our city sustainable. As chairwoman of the Finance Committee, I led an effort to establish a contingency fund. Contingency funds are used for unplanned, unbudgeted expenses. In the past, an emergency expenditure in our city relied solely on what was left in the end of the year fund in the budget. Our contingency fund now requires the city to deposit $50,000 a year in the account, and the fund can only be used for emergency spending. It will be capped at $1 million, and we're just beginning to get that money put in the bank, and I'm happy to say that we're now at $100,000 and on track to keep going. This must sound totally ridiculous to these large cities that are also here tonight, and I understand that. The council approved the formation of a budget advisory committee based on my recommendations, and this was also a group of volunteer residents, again, many of whom I urged to sign on. You know about arm twisting. And they spent a good deal of their summer working with our chief financial officer and staff to put together a budget. Thank you. I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to go ahead and start with Des Moines City Council. So for Des Moines City Council, position number 7, Mr. Matt Mahoney.
There we go. Hi, I'm Matt Mahoney, and I just want to say thank you for having me today. I'm going to move this up a little bit, with being tall and all. Who am I? I'm a U.S. Army veteran. I was a former fire commissioner, a volunteer firefighter. I'm a city advisory committee member. I'm a North Hill Community Club member and trustee. I got involved in the city because I remodeled a home in Des Moines a few years ago and did not have a good experience. But I'm one of those people that I don't like to be part of the problem or point out the problems. I like to be part of the solution. So I decided to start attending city council meetings, and I haven't missed basically but all of 2 in the last 2 years. I'm very active in my community. I worked for Crystal Mountain, where I did a lot of development that concerned with environmental situations and development as well, and I ran the rental shop in the wintertime. So I have that kind of experience and background. I also, for the last 20 years, have worked for Nordstrom, where I do a lot of buying and negotiating and coaching and mentoring of employees. I've never been in a business where I didn't make a profit, reduce cost, and improve the talent. What our city needs basically is business. It needs development. It needs improved public safety. It needs an infrastructure and repair, and it needs more police officers and parks and recreation. The situation here is that how do you pay for it? Well, you've got your property taxes that are going to pay you so much, and you've got your other taxes and fees, but it's about business. And the most honest way to pay for these improvements and improve it is through a healthy business environment. The way you do that is you improve the customer-centric focus. My experience has been that sometimes the city can be a little arduous to get those things done. And I'm a Nordstrom guy. I know what customer service is about, and it has to be improved. This is how you set yourself different. Then you got your development. You want to bring in buildings for nice places to businesses to be. I've done that, and tying our marina to our city in the downtown area and in Pack Highway, I've got those kind of experiences. Then you want to have something that's a support group. You want things like the Chamber or Highline College, which can have support groups for the small businesses and set up some kind of mentors. These are the types of things. The other one is you don't want the unpredictability in your business. You don't want regulations or wage changes that are going to dramatically improve or increase your costs. I know, I get it. I've got 30 years of business experience, and I understand that. I'm endorsed by the current city council, 6 members of it, the local police and the fire, and a large contingent of residents in the town. I'm very engaged and very active. All of the fellow campaigners and candidates in Des Moines will tell you that I'm the guy that goes to everything. I'm very passionate, and I absolutely love this city. Thank you. Vote for Matt Mahoney for City of Des Moines, position 7.
Thank you. Also running for position 7 in Des Moines, Mr. Chad Harper.
I'd really like to hear Andrea sing, so I'm a little tempted to go over. I'll, at the risk of repeating everyone, thank you to Seattle Southside Chamber for hosting this event, and to all the candidates who take a lot of time out of their lives to better their communities. I believe that businesses, particularly small business in the city of Des Moines, are the lifeblood of our community. They bring jobs, they bring commerce, and they greatly enhance our quality of life. When I go and talk to business owners in particular and voters, I hear that our city is terrific, it has a lot to offer, but we can and we must do better. They tell me they're concerned about empty storefronts and concerned even more about businesses leaving to go to places like Burien. No offense to my many friends who are here from Burien. We need to make Des Moines a safe and business-friendly city again. I'm proud to have the sole endorsement from our great sheriff who is here, King County Sheriff John Urquhart. And I'm proud to have the endorsements of several downtown Des Moines business owners who share my concerns about the direction of our city. We definitely need to redevelop our marina and connect it with our downtown to make Des Moines the destination city that it absolutely ought to be, and we should do it, and we can do it in a way that is environmentally and business friendly. We need a council member who has a track record of accomplishing things in our community, and I'm proud to be that candidate in my race. I'm a very proud member as a future educator. I'm a very proud member of the Board of Trustees for the Highline Schools Foundation and a member of the Des Moines Human Services Commission. And I am particularly proud of being the co-chair of last year's very successful Highline School Bond campaign. We brought together business, labor, to make a huge investment in our schools, which will drastically increase the quality of life in our community. And I'm proud to be someone who has led on those issues. And in a very partisan political environment, I'm very proud to have the endorsements of both labor unions and business leaders in our city. I'm proud to have worked alongside both labor and business in the future, and I'll be very proud to work alongside business leaders in Des Moines and across South King County in the future. My name is Chad Harper. I'm running for Des Moines City Council position 7, and I humbly ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we are going to position 5, Mr. Harry Steinmetz. You're on.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Harry Steinmetz. I'm running for position 5 within the Des Moines City Council. Ms. Buxton over here, you'll hear from next. And we have had a wonderful race. She's very polite, she's very kind. We have focused on the issues that affect Des Moines, and I think that's very important, and I compliment you for that. I believe that there are 4 major issues in this race. First of all, I believe that we have to develop the downtown area in conjunction with the marina. We can't develop the marina and then assume that things are going to follow into downtown because of those empty storefronts you just heard about. If people have to drive by empty storefronts to get to the marina, they're not going to want to go to the marina. And it has to happen together. And the city has to be able to do that in a way that they move together and create a nice environment downtown. Secondly is we need to have sustainable budgeting. For the first time in many, many years, the city took the step in the right direction, and congratulations to Mayor Pina for helping guide that process. I think that is absolutely necessary. I've had my own business for 14 years. I'm a lawyer, and I've run my own business. I understand making those kind of hard decisions about what are you going to spend and where, and I think I have the ability to do that. But we don't want the state auditor's office coming into our city and telling us how to control our finances. We should keep that within the city of Des Moines. Thirdly, we need to be transparent and we need to be inclusive. One of the reasons I got involved in this is because about 2 years ago, the largest commercial lot left in the city of Des Moines was sold to a nonprofit that proposed putting a huge drug and alcohol and mental health treatment facility, including a methadone clinic, 600 feet away from my kids' elementary school. And we were told, too late, it's already been done, and it wasn't, and we've stopped it. And that property has now been sold somewhere else. Somebody's got to be aware of how these kind of development proposals affect the neighborhood and can say no at the beginning, and we have to include the neighborhoods of Des Moines in this decision-making process. And that simply didn't happen, and I don't think anybody on the council was honestly aware of how that was going to impact the neighborhood. And then lastly, I think I bring a professional approach to this. I've been a member of the State Legislative Task Force on domestic violence. I was appointed by the Pierce County Council, where my office is, to their Criminal Justice Reform Task Force. I have worked in the state Senate as a staff attorney for the Senate Judiciary Committee. I've been a prosecutor. I've been a private attorney now for 27 years, actually. And I believe that we need that sort of professionalism on the council who can bring that voice to the city. So I ask for your vote. I believe I have the most to offer, and thank you very much.
Perfect. So next we have for position 5, Ms. Tracey Buxton.
I'm shorter than Matt. Hi, I'm Tracey Buxton and running for Des Moines City Council position 5. So I've been a resident of Des Moines for 35 years. Moved to Des Moines as a young person and newlywed, accepting a position as a resident manager for a residential apartment community on site. And now I have been successful in business experience with property management, office administration, and real estate investment for 35 years. And along the way, I've gained other successful business experience in the insurance industry, the fitness industry, the mental health industry, online sales, the hospitality industry, and the contracting industry. Right now I'm a contractor. We flip houses. So I have a broad base of business experience to bring to the table in the city of Des Moines while we move forward in these necessary revitalization efforts that we're entering into a new era in our city. These revitalization efforts are going to require a committed and talented group of leadership, and I am that leader. I have that broad base of business experience behind me that I can bring to the table. These revitalization efforts are going to require building into a safe, green destination community. And by safe, I mean that is going to require the support of our police and fire, but not only is it important to build a team to keep our community safe from the front side by supporting your services, but also from the backside by supporting programs that bring education and support to people coming out of these challenged neighborhoods and lifestyles. By green, I mean it's essential that we hold the agencies and the companies that we work with in our own city accountable for environmental impacts to our community. For example, that includes the FAA and the Port of Seattle. It's essential that the city of Des Moines and the agencies around us are held accountable for these impacts and that we stand firm in holding them accountable. And then in regard to creating a destination community, it's essential, again, that our leadership is can speak in public more comfortably than I am being able to do right now. Right? And so I'm going to encourage you to vote for Tracey Buxton, even though she cannot remember what's on this paper that she brought up with her.
Thank you. So not only does it take courage to run for public office, but it also takes courage to speak publicly. And in fact, I think people would rather jump out of an airplane than come and take this podium. So we appreciate, again, that everyone is here. So position 3 for Des Moines City Council. Next to speak to us, instead of jumping out of a plane, Mr. J.C. Harris.
I've done that. My first sight of Des Moines was from a sailboat coming into the marina 25 years ago. And it's as spectacular a view of Puget Sound as anywhere, which makes it one of the best views in the entire world. So I bought a house here, and it was great. Got my boat here, got my church here. The downtown was alive. All my neighbors had really nice gardens. And then the Great Recession hit. Now, the current government has a fantastic story to tell of financial turnaround, and I agree. It's a great story. It's largely based on our partnership with the Port of Seattle, but our relationship with the Port of Seattle is complex, to say the least, because no matter how much income such partnerships generate, they pale in comparison with the damage that the flights do to our property value and to our health. According to the EPA, Des Moines is in the top 10% of cancer risk for the entire nation. And what's worse is that pollution from jets is invisible. The skies have never been bluer in Des Moines. So it's tough to get some people to take this really seriously, especially given the port's part in the city's financial recovery. But we just can't ignore this. A whole new generation of families have moved into Des Moines. And my focus is on those families and the small businesses that all have always been the lifeblood of Des Moines. The noise and health risks will make the city increasingly less desirable. So we're on this merry-go-round where the city will be paying its bills, but to which fewer and fewer people who have a choice will actually want to live. I want to turn that around. I want to focus on making Des Moines the best choice for young, successful families, as it was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I want Des Moines to be safe, addressing the predominant types of crimes, mental health and drug-related, but in a better way. I want Des Moines to be clean, and that especially includes the air. I want Des Moines to be attractive to visitors as Edmonds, Shilshole, and Poulsbo. It's criminal that our city hasn't found a way to build a proper shopping district. Most of all, I want to get our residents engaged. Resident participation keeps getting smaller and smaller. At most council meetings, there is literally no one who isn't working for the city or running for office. Never has any council member knocked on my door. The complaint I hear over and over is that residents feel the city doesn't care. Decisions are made without enough public input. If I could change one thing, it would be to make sure residents know what's going on and give them more of a voice in how important decisions are made. My name is J.C. Harris, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you so much. Next and last for the Des Moines City Council, position 1, Mr. Matt Pina.
Hello, I'm Matt Pina. I'm the current mayor of Des Moines, and I'm running for another term on the Des Moines City Council. We're not a strong mayor system. Before I start down my path, I want to introduce my wife of 35 years, Michelle. And the reason I'm doing this is I think it's important to recognize a strong support system. And when you have that, that's what enables you to do the work that we do out in the community. You know, I became the mayor of Des Moines just under 2 years ago. And within 20 minutes of being selected mayor with Deputy Mayor Pennington, we were told two things. One, you had 18 months until you were bankrupt. Two, the current city manager was going to retire in 8. You can imagine the shock that comes with something like that. But because of the background and experience that I have along with the deputy mayor and our current city manager, who was our assistant city manager at the time, we got together with the council, the community, and the administration, and we turned this around. 11 months later at our budget meeting, we had only $677,000 in our reserves. This year, we have $6.5 million. Highlights of what we've accomplished. While we accumulated this $6.5 million, we expanded our business park. It was started in 3 phases, now it's in 4. All this money is structural revenue. It is not based on one-time money at all. We have added 6 new positions to our law enforcement team. That includes a detective on the Regional Violent Crimes Task Force and a new assistant chief of operations, because we put in a new policing model that now all of the city departments own crime and they resolve it together. We have expanded our parks department, and there's a house that's a historical house overlooking the marina. We just acquired that. We have also restarted our emergency management program in a big way. The first line item on everybody's job description is going to be to know what your role is in emergency management and who do you need to call and what your resources are. And we've started the marina revitalization program with design from folks that are involved with the harbor steps downtown and Granville Island. Our future is very bright. We've come a long way. We're not there yet, but I want to say experience matters, relationships matters, knowledge of government matters, and the willingness to act and make difficult decisions, because that's how we got there. So I ask for your support. I'm running in position 1, and I ask for your support so Des Moines can realize its very bright future. Thank you.
Okay, so now, last city for the city council candidates, last, of course, but not least, Burien City Council. For position 7, Ms. Crystal Marks, you are first up.
Thank you very much. And like Matt, I'm also tall, so I'll adjust that. My name is Crystal Marks, and I am running for Burien City Council, position 7. A little bit about me. I am the wife of an Army combat veteran with PTSD, and so mental illness and mental health is really important to me. I'm a mother of 4 children under 10 years old, so their safety and educational opportunities and after-school opportunities are also incredibly important to me there. I am a career-long nonprofit organization member. I work in development for NAMI Washington, leading the country on mental illness and mental health awareness. I am the board president of an arts board in downtown Seattle. So I'm connected in my community, and I know what it takes to build coalitions and to reach across the aisle, to reach across special interests, and to build a network of support to get projects done and see them forward to completion. What I think Burien needs is to look to the future. We don't need to look to the past and hope for a return to the peaceful way that things were, but instead build a new version of what peaceful looks like for Burien that makes sense for our city. The way I see that happening is focusing on creating something like a 20-year plan, where we are looking forward to what the future is going to look like for us instead of just every couple of years. What can we do to shoot further? How can we look further down the road so that we're spending money responsibly, we're budgeting well, and we're planning effectively? I think that's incredibly important. I think that will allow us to build in a way that will attract more of these incredible small businesses that, if you've driven through downtown Burien, you see them. They are the heart of our community, and I think that will really help them to feel safer and secure. In terms of safety, I am all for empowering our local law enforcement that we currently have by hoping that they will get to know our community members even more. Having that kind of community-based policing where they are partnering with the unique community needs that we have in Burien is incredibly effective. And that's something that I would love to see happen more in our city, as opposed to throwing more money at more officers when our budget is already 52% just toward policing in Burien. Let's refocus that in a smarter way. I want to see increased access to social service organizations that already exist. We do give a lot of money from our social services budget to these organizations, but what are they doing? What's the data from that coming back? And how can we make that investment smarter and work harder to serve more people? So again, I am Crystal. I am running for Burien City Council position 7. I'm not even taking the full time. I'm proud of myself because I'm a long talker. I have 4 kids, so I have to be. So thank you so much. I hope that if you're a Burien resident, you'll reach out. I have my literature there at the back. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Also running for position 7 for the City of Burien, Ms. Patty Jansen.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Patty Jansen. I want to thank you. It's an honor and a privilege for me to be here to speak with all of you tonight. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself, a 26-year resident of Burien. When my husband and I moved here, it was, 95 to 98. We moved here we moved to Burien in 91. From 95 to 98, I ran a small business. During that time, I also worked with at-risk youth at the local elementary school in a mentoring program. I have volunteered for close to 20 years with the Burien Police Department, and happy to say that I have the King County Police Officers Guild endorsement. So business is one of my biggest projects as a council person looking to the future. It's the economic growth that's going to drive the tax base for us, and that's going to pay for the programs and the services that we need. There's a common denominator that each one of the council candidates that has spoke to, and that's crime and safety. It's a big concern, and we can't sweep it under the rug. It has to be looked at, but it also has to be paid for. And our businesses are a big, big part of that. I'm really happy to see what's going on in the city, and I know a lot of my neighbors are as well. We have Merrill Gardens that is now open. We also have a new apartment building that is going to be opening soon, a new bakery, but the biggest thing is the NERA, the Northeast Redevelopment Area. That is going to bring a lot of revenue to the city of Burien. Again, structural. We're going to be facing a deficit with the tax credit going away here in about 18 months. So our businesses are the backbone of our city, and we have to support them and be friendly to them. So crime and safety is a concern, and I would like to see more money budgeted for law enforcement. On a weekly basis, I work with the men and women out on the street. So I hear what they're saying. They need support. They need more boots on the ground. We did add 2 additional officers in Burien, which has helped, but there's a lot of work to be done. One of the things that I think we can look at, I ask for your vote. Position number 7, Burien City Council. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now for Burien City Council, position number 5, Nancy Tosta.
Thanks, Andrea, and thanks to all the rest of you for being here. I'm Nancy Tosta. I'm currently serving on the Burien City Council in position number 5. I've been there for 4 years. I served on the Planning Commission for 4 years. Prior to that, a little bit about my background. I spent about, can never keep track, 23 years in the public sector, state government, federal government, regional government. I know a lot about policy development. And then I ran a successful $3 million consulting company for the last 18 years to national organizations and foundations. So I have a really solid background in a number of areas that a city leader needs to deal with. In the last 8 years, I've built in both being on council, being in the Planning Commission, and then working as the Director of Growth Strategies at the Puget Sound Regional Council. I've built a lot of relationships with electeds across the region. It's an important network of relationships that helps you get things done. And many of those electeds have endorsed me. You can see it on my website. I've helped Burien move forward in a number of ways. We've passed a balanced budget every year that I've been on the council. We've improved our police services services and public safety. Crime is not really up in our city. It's about the same as it's been for the last 5 or 6 years. We have changed the way. I chaired a subcommittee of the council to deal with and fund social services. Last week, we finally, after 3 years of my pushing, we hired a human services manager who is going to help us coordinate how we allocate the limited resources we have. I chair the subcommittee to the council on airport issues, and we're addressing resident concerns about the FAA and changing flight paths. We stood up to the FAA. I'm a strong advocate for growing arts and culture in the community, and we have become a destination community. Last weekend, I was at a tasting event in a restaurant in downtown Burien. Most of the people there were from outside of Burien. And the Jazz Walk in Burien last weekend, most of the people there, many of them were from outside of Burien. So we have an amazing food scene. Bakery Nouveau opens tomorrow. If you have an interest in Burien, it'll be crowded. My interest in the future is figuring out how we deal with the unsheltered residents in our community, especially those dealing with addiction and mental health concerns. It's a big problem. I think we need to, I'm going to skip some stuff here, we need to deal with the divisiveness in our community and figure out ways to stop shouting at each other and start finding common solutions. And we need the vision to manage our growth. And economic development has to be not only building new businesses, but creating the job skills. I have a strong feeling about keeping wealth in our community, and we have to have good jobs that the people in our community can actually spend their discretionary income in our businesses. Thank you very much for listening to me talk very fast, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you. The 3 minutes does go by fast. Next, also running for position number 5, Darla Green.
And I'm kind of short here. Hello, friends, colleagues, and neighbors. Gosh, it's so great to be here tonight. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Independence, freedom, democracy, prosperity, and economic development. This is exactly what our region needs, and very specifically to Burien. Sorry, I'm going to move this down just a little bit. Guess I can't. Can you hear me? I know many of you here tonight, and I want to thank you for sharing part of your evening with me. But I really want to thank Seattle Southside Chamber of Commerce for this lovely event. My name is Darla Green, and I'm running for Burien City Council, position 5. I am a mother, a small business owner, a community volunteer. I am a block watch captain. I am endorsed by the King County Police Officers Guild. And I also have the privilege of sitting on the board of Seattle Southside Chamber of Commerce. I would like to recognize this amazing group of professionals whom I have great respect for. Andrea, Dan, Louise, all of you on the board, Judy. I'm blessed. Thank you. Now, back to the business of Burien. The time is now to take back our city from identity politics and personal agendas. I have no political background. It's time for some fresh vision here. We must put economic development as a top priority to move Burien forward. I have received great support, and the message is clear. Burien wants strong leadership that is fiscally responsible, that is financially responsible, decisive, and unafraid. Burien is the gateway to the South, but we will not become Seattle-lite. We must have a council that can collectively work together to ensure that our fair city suffer no more the failed policies that impede our economic successes. I vow to bring much needed common sense and financial responsibility back to our local government, and to put crime reduction and economic development as top priorities. I will vigorously and responsibly confront the issues that face our community. As a small business owner, I understand the stress of owning and operating a small business. I plan to strongly support our business districts, ensuring any taxation is responsible, reasonable, honest, and importantly, moving Burien closer to becoming the business-friendly destination city we must become. Every storefront should be filled. And I'm Darla Green. Snap. Position 5, and I want your vote for a fresh face for Burien.
Thank you. Next, Burien City Council, position number 3, Debbie Wagner.
Hi, I'm Debbie Wagner. I'm running for position number 3 for Burien City Council. And I would like to thank the Chamber for having this wonderful event, and it's great to have all of you here. I was going to read a prepared speech, but I'm going to instead talk about something a little different because I think it's important to understand there's some difficulty that goes along with, economic development just doesn't fall in your lap. You have to work a little bit at it. And it doesn't just start with who are we going to have come here. You have to go get them. You have to have aggressive recruitment. When I first became a council member, I wasn't yet sitting on the council dais, but Council Member Edgar and I went out and talked to all 60 businesses in Burien because I wanted to know and he wanted to know what were the challenges that businesses were facing and what could we do as council members to help make that climate a little better and easier and help them be successful. So we did find out that people had problems with sign code, absentee landlords, building problems, code problems. The permitting process wasn't easy. We advocated for all these things. We made a big list. And over time, we've advocated for these things. But we've run into a lot of resistance from other council members who want to focus on social issues. And I found myself entrenched in this very long process of delving into social issues and how do we take care of homelessness. Well, when you make your city clean, when you beautify your town, when you become attractive and you look like you're together, you can bring people in. When it's easy for business to open and start and be successful, you will attract business in. When people are working together and collaborating and cooperating together, and you look like you're a together council that has goals that are, written up into a plan that you put together that, we keep tearing it apart and redoing it. Not my idea, but when you have a plan and you look like you know where you're going and you're moving forward with that plan, people can have confidence in you that you're not going to change your mind and take a sharp left turn and become weird all of a sudden. So I think you have to do all those things to attract and retain business. And I think those elements are the foundation. So I would love to see those things happen and move forward. And of course, I'm an advocate for environmental quality and I'm fighting the poor every place I go. I'm asking for way too much, and I know that my expectations are way too high because we'll get very little. So I'm hoping that John will be sympathetic with me. Move the airport way far south. Thank you. I'm Debbie Wagner, running for position number 3 of Burien City Council with a slate of other great candidates.
Thank you. Also running for position 3 in Burien, Mr. Jimmy Mata.
Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. My name is Jimmy Mata. I've lived in Burien for 20 years. I'm running for Burien City Council, position number 3. Bottom line is profits. If you're in business and you're not making profits, you're going out of business. The other thing that I look at is budget. Clear goals. Where are we going? What are the goals? What are the milestones to get to the goals? Do we have enough money to get to the goals? What's our trained workforce look like? What's our production look like? I was a labor leader for 20 years, and I decided that I was going to leave about 2 years ago and start my own business. And I just finished my signature job downtown Seattle, the Seattle Marriott Hotel. So to me, I'm a union contractor because I believe in training, I believe in pensions, I believe in healthcare. I don't believe that as a business owner, I should put that burden on the taxpayers of Washington State. On top of that, I also believe that Burien has been in a situation for a long time where we haven't noticed who is in business in Burien, predominantly minorities. If I look at a population between 2000 and 2010, the population growth in Washington has been 14.2%. Hispanic population growth has been 71.2%. Hispanics are the largest startup businesses, 18,000 added new businesses, $9.7 billion. Makes me wonder if Burien falls in that category. So to me, business is very important. The only way that we can survive in a community is by having economic development, being self-sustained, and to me it's what kind of programs do we have in our community that we can put to work for us? Hey, I'll tell you, the Puget Sound Skills Center, great facility. Not everybody's going to go to college. We're going to have some people that are going to go out and do some hard work. You know, I'm very proud of my son, graduate of the Aviation High School. My daughter was just accepted. I am a firm believer in education, but at the same time, I'm also a firm believer that I can wear a tool belt and go out and build wealth for this country. And so with me, very important, I do believe in training, and I do believe that the county, the state, and the city owns us the ability to be able to grow our businesses with training for our businesses and the workforce development. Thank you very much, and Port, yeah, I got a plug in for you. If we're going to live in the red zone, you're going to provide jobs for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Last council candidate for Burien for position 1, Joel Manning.
Thank you. Thanks to the chamber. I am one of those people that just loves speaking in public. So I'm Joel Manning. I'm running for position number 1, Burien City Council. I've been a resident of Burien for over 16 years. All my children have been born in Burien. I work in Burien. I manage a business in Burien. And I'm running with a slate of 3 other people that all also run and own businesses in Burien. A little bit about myself. I am a free market capitalist. So I'm very pro-business. I understand the vital role business plays in a community. Honestly, I don't think you can say Burien has ever in its history had a chance to elect a more business-friendly group of people than you have right now. I'm not so sure the other 4 candidates could say the same thing. I again said I'm very pro-business. My opponent supports things like $15 an hour minimum wage laws. I also think it says something that he chose not to come here tonight. So again, Joel Manning, and I'm going to go with Crystal. I'm going to keep it short, unless you want to push for some folk singing. So Joel Manning, position 1, Burien City Council. Thank you.
Good job, All right, so I think next time I'm going to have to bring a banjo. We're now up to the Port of Seattle Commissioners, and we're going to start with position number 4, Peter Steinbrück.
Just temporarily.
Sure, you're fine.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much.
Yep. Yeah, you got it.
Thanks so much, Southside Chamber, and all the businesses that are represented. I understand there's some 3,000 businesses, close to 200,000 employees, and $100 billion in economic value. That's pretty darn impressive. So I'm honored to be here, grateful. I'm very excited about my candidacy for Port. You may know something about me, my family history with the Pike Place Market. Obviously, the sign suggests that. I didn't rip that off. That's been part of our family history and my upbringing as a civic activist family. I learned my civics lessons early in my youth. You may also know that I was served on the Seattle City Council for 10 years and was council president for 2. I learned a great deal about public policy, whether it be environmental, land use, housing, transportation, economic development, business, finance. All of these things were what I devoted my time to, developing great policies, innovative practices for the city, working intergovernmentally throughout the region with many of the jurisdictions here tonight and beyond. And so I've gained tremendous experience there. And I'm also an architect, and like, is it Matt? Jimmy? Jimmy. Yeah, I have an affinity with Jimmy because I started out as a carpenter in high school.
and I built a business from that. I went to carpentry, to actually from handyman to carpenter to journeyman to then to building contractor, and eventually I went on to architecture and put myself through college and graduate school in business. So I actually have a business background going back to my teens, and I'm very proud of that. My only paycheck came from the city of Seattle during that time I worked for the citizens. But I've always been an employer, a manager, risk taker, entrepreneur, as well as a professional consultant, architecture, urban planning, community design, and strategies. I believe that the port's #1 mission is economic development. All of the other general government jurisdictions do not do economic development. If they try to, they don't do it particularly well. They give out awards and things, but mostly what general governments do is tax out ways to spend the money to maintain infrastructure and services. So I believe that's the #1 important thing. The airport itself, being airport communities here, generates hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in economic value to our region and also supports our business activity. But guess what? Only about 20% of the jobs generated by SeaTac Airport, and over 110,000 jobs, go to SeaTac communities. I think we could do better there. I think we can bring more local workforce into the projects, more businesses, more small business support there, and extend all of that great opportunity beyond, deeper into the communities. That's my #1 goal. Second goal is to bring good government to the port. I have the leadership experience that no previous port candidate has brought to the job. And I will serve you well and bring open, honest governance, and finally green the port, which is another huge issue with regard to SeaTac. Thank you. Appreciate your support. Peter Steinbrook.
It does go quickly. I know it does. Thank you so much. Also running for Port of Seattle, position #4, Preeti Sridhar.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here. There's so many people here in this room that I've worked with, that I know, and that makes it feel like I am home. I mean, I'm just coming from Renton. I'm Preeti Sridhar, and it's my pleasure to serve you and potentially be your Port Commissioner position 4. I've been in public service for 25 years, the past 10 years with the city of Renton, where I've been involved in several things, the economic revitalization of Renton, intergovernmental relations. I've worked with many of you. I'm, with the Renton Chamber's Legislative Committee. And I've also worked very hard to make sure that Renton is an inclusive city because our demographics, as you all know, are changing. Prior to that, I worked with the city of Seattle, 15 years there, really focused on launching several of the environmental programs, several things which we take for granted. I mean, recycling is muscle memory now. It wasn't when I got started on those programs. And probably one that I'm really proud of is the Seattle Climate Protection Initiative. As almost each one of the previous speakers spoke to, the port, the airport, is a huge, huge issue, huge impact for each and every one of the communities around here. And for me, that is my #1 priority, to look at as the airport continues to grow. It's the 9th busiest airport in the country, and it does create, it is an economic engine, and it does support, the regional face of the Puget Sound. But it has to do so not on the backs of the airport communities, because we are unique. We're not Denver, where the airport is away. And so that to me is one of the greatest priorities, and part of that is looking at, can we make some drastic changes at the airport that will actually have an immediate impact on our communities? Yes. We can look at, for instance, biofuels, look at ways that we can reduce pollution, get more mitigation dollars, and really look at the impact, work with FAA, one of our speakers talked about that, and bring those relationships together so that it really does not have that negative impact. We hear from and work together with the community. So that's my #1 priority. And I can make it happen. I can do that. I'm a relationship builder. Several of you who know me know that already. My other priority for the airport is jobs. We have to create those jobs, make those living wage, high wage jobs so that we all get lifted up together. but look at it in the future. Look at career pathways. And Stephanie Bowman will be here talking about the great job that she's already done. Let's build on that. Finally, Port has to be accountable. I will be accountable to you. I'm Preeti, please. I look for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up, Stephanie Bowman, position 3.
All right, good evening. I know that we're getting near the end, so hang in there. You only have 3 more candidates to get through. So, Stephanie Bowman, I currently have the great honor and pleasure of representing you on the Port Commission. I've been your Port Commissioner for the last 4 years. 3 things to remember about me tonight. Number 1, I am only the 5th woman to serve on the Port Commission in its 107-year history. Think about that. Number 2, I am the only Port Commissioner, current or past, that's ever actually worked for a Chamber of Commerce. I worked for the Seattle Chamber of Commerce for about 6 years, a decade or so ago, and so I know several of you in the room from that. And third, I'm the only Port Commissioner that actually lives in an airport community. Where do I live? I live on Beacon Hill. You would say that's not an airport community, but it most certainly is because we are right on the flight path. So I'm the only Port Commissioner that lives south of I-90. I understand what you go through as a community with the impacts for the airport. But I want to say I really believe in the economic opportunities that we have at the airport and the port in general. And I've tried really hard in the 4 years that I've been on the commission to make the airport not be just a negative body. I appreciate somebody said earlier, move the airport just a little bit. Well, let's be honest, the airport's not going to move a little bit. So let's make it actually work for the communities and for the businesses. One of the things that I'm really proud of having done, being on the Port Commission, is the Economic Development Grant Program that I helped lead a couple of years ago. It's $1 million that goes to every city in the county. They don't each get $1 million, it's $1 million total. It's for economic development grants for your communities to be able to figure out what you want to do to advance them. And actually several of the speakers tonight have mentioned projects that the Port has funded. The Des Moines Marina, that's something that we funded. The NERA project, that's a Port-funded project. Old Town Burien project, that's a Port-funded project. So we're really trying hard to make sure that the Port is a better community member. With that, I'm not going to take up the 3 minutes because I know we're getting close to the end, and I'd really actually like the opportunity to just talk one-on-one. So thank you very much for your support and for coming out tonight.
Thank you so much. Next, position 1 for Port of Seattle, Mr. John Creighton.
All right. All right. Well, thank you, Andrea, and thank you for organizing this wonderful forum. And you accomplished something that has not been accomplished this entire campaign season. You got Peter Steinbruck to end his spiel on time, so congratulations. I'm John Creighton. I'm the incumbent in position 1. I've been honored to serve you for the last 12 years. And as a Port Commissioner, I've worked hard to keep the Port strong as a jobs creation engine while making it a better neighbor. In 2012, I co-chaired with Commissioner Tom Albro our Century Agenda Committee that set out a plan to help create 100,000 new jobs, new port-related jobs for our community, working with our tenants, working with our stakeholders. And the Port is hitting on all cylinders. We've been the fastest growing large airport in the country 3 years in a row. We're the busiest cruise port on the West Coast. Fisherman's Terminal accounts for 40% of the seafood consumed in the United States. And our cargo operations, together with the Port of Tacoma, we're winning back cargo and we're winning back jobs. Also, we're working on economic and real estate development projects with the City of Burien, with the City of SeaTac, and with the City of Des Moines. But it's more than just about jobs creation. It's making sure that local communities share in port prosperity. And so I've really worked hard to understand and represent Southwest King County. I've served on the Highline Forum for the past 10 years. I've also served on the SeaTac Joint Advisory Committee for the past 8 years. And to Ms. Wagner, on your issues, I agree, the Port can and should be a better neighbor, and I've worked hard to make that happen. You and other community members have legitimate issues about the Port, and I respect that, and I've always been a good listener to you. And Mr. Mata, with your concern about local kids getting the port-related jobs,
I'm currently working on a priority hire program, which would be the first ever at the Port of Seattle. And it's important that as we create this economic prosperity, local kids, particularly in communities that haven't traditionally had access to port jobs, get that access. And in terms of being a good neighbor, I've moved forward under my leadership at the port some 50 environmental initiatives on clean air, clean water, habitat restoration, brownfield cleanup, energy conservation, and the like. And we've been able to move those initiatives forward, not by demonizing the business community, but by working together with the business community. And I think that's really important. It's not about trying to demonize one stakeholder group or another. It's trying to work together and bring everyone forward. So I've really been honored to serve you as a port commissioner, and I would love to have your support this November. Thank you.
Mr. Ryan Calkins, also running for position 1, Port of Seattle.
Thank you. So I'm going to be a fresh face for all of you, so I'm going to use my time tonight to introduce myself. My name is Tim Burgess. I'm the mayor of Seattle currently, and as you know, I'll be out of a job in December, so I'm looking for the next gig. No, my name is Ryan Calkins. I'm going to introduce myself by pulling out a little bit of a prop here, and that's my keychain. So when you look at my keychain, you'll get a sense of what really matters to me. And the first thing I'll show you is our house keys. I was born and raised in Edmonds. I now live in Seattle, and that making of a home is really essential for me. It's a part of who I am, my identity. Tied into that is the minivan that I drive. I have 3 children. I have a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old. They're all in daycare, and my eldest is in Seattle Public Schools. And they are really the ones that pushed me to jump into politics and to drive for the generational change that we are ready for here in this region, in our economy, and particularly at the Port of Seattle. And finally, the keys that I think are most relevant for tonight are the 2 business keys that I have. So I'm a partner in 2 different businesses, one in Georgetown and one in Wallingford. And my professional background is as a small business owner and president. So this room for me feels like home. I cut my teeth working for my dad in small business and then took over the business and ran it for nearly 10 years. It was an important distribution company that brought in ceramic tile and stone from around the world. I was nominated to become the president of the trade association for the entire ceramic tile and trade association in the United States, the youngest ever president. And I helped that association to expand into new markets in ways that allowed them to be greener in the way they approached it, but also more profitable. So that is who I am as a person. And I would bring to the Port of Seattle a sense of what it's like to have to sign the front of a paycheck every 2 weeks and make sure that we have money in the bank to cover those expenses, knowing that for a business to exist, profitability is first and foremost. And then we can pursue the extra initiatives that we want to succeed in our communities. I'm going to turn over the remainder of the time to the sheriff's candidate because they're armed, so I will make sure that I don't cut into their time. But again, my name is Ryan Calkins. I'm running in Port Position 1, and I'd love to get to know you, so reach out.
Thank you so much. And yes, next up, King County Sheriff, Mr. John Urquhart.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you to the group. Andrea, I liked your analysis of speaking in public versus jumping out of an airplane. I've jumped out of an airplane. It's not so bad. But when I landed, I broke my leg. So believe me, this is a piece of cake in comparison. And actually, my wife we were on a date at the time, and she was in the airplane with me, coincidentally. And I say coincidentally because she's watching tonight. At least she said she would. And tonight is our 42nd wedding anniversary. So, honey, I love you. I'm sorry I can't be home, but come on now, I need the job. So I've been the sheriff for 4 years, and I'm proud of the work that's been done. I started out at the University of Washington, where I have a business degree. When I came out of the U, I thought I should take that degree and do something with it. So I started a business, built it up, and built it up to 4 locations, eventually sold it, and it took a few years off actually, and had my 2 daughters, and then went full-time for the sheriff's office. But I've been a police officer both part-time and full-time for 41 years. You can't have been a cop for that long without being a law and order guy, and I am a law and order guy. I spent most of my patrol time right here in SeaTac before it was incorporated, when they used to call it Pack Highway, and White Center, and Burien before it was a city as well. And most of that time, I was a narcotics detective. I've been a foot soldier in the war on drugs, and I'll be the first to tell you, war on drugs was a failure. We have to try other things, and since I've been sheriff, we have tried other things. So law and order, it's a big deal. We had a spate of shootings this year, some gang-related, some not, but in South King County. So I got together with Chief Ken Thomas from Kent, and we pulled together the police chiefs and the mayors from Renton and Auburn and Kent and the federal and Seattle and the federal agencies, ATF, FBI, DEA, U.S. Marshal Service, and we came together with a plan to fight these shootings and take those shooters off the street, get them in jail where they belong. And the number of homicides, the number of drive-by shootings, the number of just general shootings, the people that were injured in shootings has plummeted because of that collaboration. And that's what a leader does. And that was myself and Ken Thomas doing that, pulling everybody together. 30 seconds left. Wow, I'm out of time. I will say that I've got about 185 endorsements. And we're talking people, a lot of people in this room, elected officials, police chiefs, sheriffs, unions, including the King County, Martin Luther King County Labor Council, Tukwila Fire, Seattle Fire, that have all endorsed me because they've seen the work that I've done. The entire King County Council has endorsed me. That's never happened before. So I would really appreciate your vote. Thank you so much. Now I got to go home and get there before the locksmith changes the locks. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you to Mr. Urquhart. Thank you to all of our candidates who came today and were able to speak. He is actually our last candidate. So Mitzi is not here. So she did not end up being able to make it. So thank you again to all of our candidates. Now we have about an hour where you can ask the candidates whatever questions that you want, one-on-one, meet and greet. Want to also thank our board of directors. Before everybody, if our board of directors could just stand, and our government affairs committee, I just want to give them a big round of applause for putting this together. Thank you also to Emma Oglesby, who's in the corner there. Wave to Emma. She's our member services director. None of this would happen without Emma. Thank you so much, and all of our staff. Thank you to our sponsors, to the Boeing Company, Kidder Matthews, Master Park. Thank you to Baker Commodities, Crane Photography, the Radisson, South King Media, to Louise Strander. Thank you to our hosts, the Red Lion, and I'll see everyone later. Take care. Have a good night.